Hello, everyone, and welcome to Life, Mood, and Reality. Yes, LMO. Okay, are we excited? Yes, I'm excited because today, in this episode, we're talking about the apartment oasis. I know you're wondering, ah, you're talking about the apartment oasis. Can you be more specific? Yes, I can be more specific because we'll be looking at overcoming the loneliness of solo living. Most people live in an apartment alone, and because of that, they find it difficult to handle the loneliness. They find it difficult to transfer the loneliness. They find it difficult, a little bit difficult to handle it. So I'll be here to talk about for someone who knows something about staying in an apartment, in a lonely apartment. Over the years, I feel I'm entitled to talk about this, right? So, so I'm just gonna be as questions and answers. Common questions you probably be asking, how you can navigate loneliness in your solo living. Okay, so I hope after this after this episode ends, you probably find something here to pick, and of course find it very insightful. Okay, and the reason why I've decided to talk about this is the fact that many of us face loneliness in our apartment, and not everybody knows how to overcome it. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to explore what loneliness really is, why it happens, and what we can do to turn our living space into a personal oasis. Okay, loneliness isn't simply about being physically alone. No, it's the emotional experience of feeling disconnected. Even when you have a pretty of social media contacts or occasional interactions, the absence of deep, meaningful relationships can lead to feeling of isolation. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can impact both mental and physical health. It's linked with increased anxiety, depression, or even physical conditions like high blood pressure. Essentially, loneliness is a signal from our minds and body that we need to connect, whether with ourselves or with others. See that? Okay. Now, I had a coffee outing with an expert on, you know, on issues like this, and I was able to put down some questions and asked him. He was able to just give me some of the answers, and I'll be talking about it right here. And I started by asking him. I said, "What factors can contribute to loneliness in solo living? What do you see as the primary cause?" And here was something he said, and I was able to take down the notes, and maybe I can have him in our podcast, and if it's free, we can explore other things here, right? He said he said there are several factors at play. First, many people today work remotely or live in a densely populated urban area. Yet, parado- parado- paradoxically, feel isolated due to a lack of genuine social interactions. Routine daily activities can become monotonous. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, when you're done alone now. And without a structured schedule that includes social time, it's easy to slip into feeling of loneliness, of isolation. He said, personal expectations like the desire for deep, intimate relationship can exhibit feelings of loneliness when they haven't met. Hmm. And I asked him another question. I said, how does loneliness impact mental and physical health? Because this is something people have been asking me on this podcast that I really want to talk about. And he said, loneliness triggers stress and negative thought patterns, which over time can lead to depression and anxiety. On the physical side, the stress response associated with chronic loneliness can affect the immune system, increase inflammation, and contribute to cardiovascular issues. It's important they understand that loneliness is not just an emotional issue, it has real, tangible effect on our health. Wow. So this was something he was talking about. He was akin to the fact that it's not something that can lead to it can something over time it can something that can lead to depression and anxiety. You're alone, you're working, you stay in a solo apartment. It comes to the point that you might actually start feeling anxiety and depression, right? And it's not just on a mental state, but even on the physical side as well. Okay. I asked him another question. I said, now, what coping strategies can you suggest to alleviate these feelings? And he said, he went on and went on and went on and said, there's several approaches that can help. First, mindful practices like meditation or deep breathing. Wow. So early morning you can do meditations. I did that this morning, right? Okay. So it helps you to become aware of your emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Creating routines that include physical activities, social engagement, even if it's virtual, and hobbies can only be very beneficial. On a practical level, small changes in your environment, like adding personal touches to your spaces, can make a big difference. Lastly, seeking personal professional support when needed is crucial. Therapists or a support group can provide guidance and a sense of community. Now, if you can go to physical support group, it would do you a whole lot of good. Trust me, it would do you a whole lot of good. If you have a virtual one, that's fine, right? Um, and I went and asked him another question. I said, could you share some practical tips for transforming a living space into a nurturing oasis? And he said, certainly, you have to start with disclustering. An organized space can help calm the mind. He talked about the fact that you have to personalize your environment with items that brings you joy, such as photos, artworks, or even plants, which have been shown to reduce stress. He went to talk about that. Establish designated zones in your apartment. For example, a quiet corner for reading or meditation, and a different area for work or hobbies. Additionally, consider daily rituals like morning stretches or a brief meditation sessions to ground yourself. These international actions can help shift your mindset from isolation to self-care. Okay, so it's important, right? So these were the things I talked about with him, and I told him about a story from one of our listeners who wrote to me, and that prompted this podcast. His name is, I'm just going to use Alex as his name. He once felt overwhelmed by loneliness in his small apartment. Alex began to implement some of the strategies. He organized his living space, started a routine that included daily meditations, or even joined an online community for creative professionals. Over time, Alex found that his apartment transformed not into just a place to live, but a space where he could recharge and feel connected to a broader community. Stories like Alex reminds us in the podcast family that small consistent changes can lead to profound improvements in our well-being. To recap, loneliness and solo living is a common experience, but it doesn't have to be permanent. By understanding the root of these feelings and taking actionable steps, whether through mindfulness, environment changing changes, or community connection, you can transform that apartment into a personal oasis. Remember, the journey begins towards overcoming loneliness with self compassion and small actions. So, if you find today's episode very helpful, please subscribe, leave us a review, or share your own story in the comment section with us. Your experience could inspire others who are on the same journey, all right? And then they can start putting in steps their soul living into a personal oasis. Join us next time as we explore more ways to create a fulfilling and connected life right here in Life, Mood, and Reality. Bye.